Alright class, hopefully you got a chance to get to watch this video before we have class tomorrow. If not, you can have this as backup to the assignment you're going to be assigned. Alright, so we're moving on from the easy work that we did to measuring segments, congruent segments, the segment addition postulate, and just examples on the work. You really need to pay attention because from here on it's just going to keep going and it might just get harder. So if you do not understand the algebra, please get with me. Please set up tutoring, ask a lot of questions, okay? Alright, when we're measuring segments, and by a segment it's just one straight line, no two endpoints. Typically it's the distance between 2 points. In this first case scenario right here, they've labeled them A and B, and it can be written either as the length of AB with the segment picture of it. For segments, it's unlike the, you know how with a line you had the arrows and then you had the letters? Well, that's not correct. Segments have endpoints. They have a point at each end, A, B. So, and easy enough, here you just count the spaces in between the two endpoints. 1, 2, 3, 4. So AB is 4. And this is going to sound like it's basic, but it will get harder. Congruent segments, if you do not know or understand what congruent means, it is equal, the same. So if AB is equal to CD, then that means that the two segments are actually congruent. Okay, so notice AB over here is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we measure CD, 1, 2, 3, 4. Both of these are 4, so they are congruent. Alright, so here comes the part. Here's where all the algebra is going to come in. Segment addition postulate. Okay? And I'm going to tell you, always draw what it tells you. It doesn't matter. Okay? I always draw it. If you're a visual person, this is going to help you. Okay? So the sentence or the statement says if A, B, C are collinear, so that means collinear already we know that all the points will be on the same line. And then it tells you that B is between A and C. So if I didn't have that picture drawn for me, it said A, B, C are collinear and B is in between A and C, so I already know B is in the middle and A and C are my endpoints. So what the segment addition postulate is stating is that if you have this piece right here, and then you have this piece right here, and if you add them together, they will equal the big one. Sounds like common sense, and a lot of kids will say, yeah, that's pretty much it. Like if I have candy, like a Twix, and it's broken, well, if I put it together, it's going to be a whole, right? And that's pretty much what this is. You have one little piece here, you have one little piece here, and if you put them together, it gives you the entire piece. So, notice on my notes here it says always draw out the problem if it isn't drawn out for you, and I believe in these problems they're all drawn out. It'll help you visualize the problem and the question. So for problems 1 and 2, it tells you specifics. So for number 1, it says PQ is 9. So we know that from here to here is 9. QR is 28. So the question is, what is the whole thing? This one's fairly easy. Well, the whole thing is actually just 37. I add these two together. For number 2, QR is 17. The entire distance, notice how it says PR, this is 21. They want to know how much is this little piece. Well, if this is 17 and the whole thing is 21, then all I'm going to do is 21 minus 17, and you get 4. Alright, let's go where algebra is involved. Let's go with a little bit more difficult one. Let's jump into 5. Let me go over this one. So it describes to you, it tells you that from J all the way to L, so the whole thing is 5x plus 2. You know that these two, well, from J to K is 27. You know that K to L is 3x minus 1. So if you follow the math, you're going to have to add these two and set them equal to the whole. Parts added equal the whole. So here we see the little part 27 plus 3x minus 1. It's equal to the entire piece. The rest is just the simple algebra, combining like terms and then the movement to solve for x. So in this case they combined the 27 and the minus 1. They got 26. They brought down to 3x. 5x plus 2 stays the same. Nothing happens yet. Here they decide to move the 3x. They don't show it to you because, well, you're in pre-AP, so they expect you to know what's going on. As do I. Well, if I'm going to move the 3x, because he disappeared from here to here, that means I subtracted 3x. And I did it to him too. 5x minus 3x gives you 2x. I'm left with 26 and then equals 2x plus 2. Following step is, I'm going to move the plus 2 by subtracting 2, which means I'm going to subtract 2 on this side. My bad. (26 minus 2), 24 equals 2x. Then it's just a simple division problem, and you get x is equal to 12. Please pay attention to the question. Don't just stop at x equals, because that's not always going to be the question. In this case, it wants to know what is the segment JL. What is the full length? Which means, in this case, once you get the value of x, you're going to substitute. I'll expect that you know how to multiply 5 times 12 plus 2. Alright, moving on to number 6. Actually, no. Let's go to the next page. Okay, before we go on to the next topic, let's do one that does not have all the steps written down so you can see how I would do it. Notice here on the right hand side it has these that we need to fill out, which means if I'm going to solve for any of these, once I get x, I'm going to have to substitute to get each one of these segments. So let's label SK. SK is 13x minus 5. k to y there is 2x plus 9. And then they're saying the entire thing is 36 minus x. Find each value. So I know that these two are my parts, and they will equal this. These two added together will equal 36 minus x. So let's rewrite that as a problem. (13x minus 5 plus 2x plus 9 equals 36 minus x. Let's do it actually. Let's do it over here. Well, I have more room to write. Okay. So I'm going to resolve this side first. I'm going to combine my like terms. That means 13 and 2 become 15x. That means that minus 5 and plus 9 becomes positive 4. Nothing happens on this side. I did not have to combine any like terms on the right. Now, personal preference, I like my variables on the left. That doesn't mean you have to, that just means I do. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this guy. I'm going to add x. So I get 16x plus 4 equals 36. These are gone. And last, not last, I'm still not last yet. I'm going to move the 4. Minus 4, minus 4, and I get 16x is equal to 32. Division. Divide by 16, divide by 16. And I have x is equal to 2. So now I know the value of x, 2. The rest is simply substitution. As k is equal to 13x minus 5. I already know that x is 2. So this becomes 26 minus 5, which is 21. So sk is 21. The distance from k to y is 2x plus 9. Substitute. And that's 4 plus 9, we get 13. The last one is s to y, which ends up being 36 minus x, or 36 minus 2, and we get 34. Yes, all you had to do was add these two together, but alright, so ask me questions if you were lost or if you need help with this. We're going to move on to the midpoint of a segment. We're still going to involve algebra, but now the midpoint of a segment. Well, if you read the context clues or the root words in this word, you're looking at the point that stands right in the middle of the two endpoints. So if you have a line and you cut it in half, where you cut it in half, that is the midpoint. So the definition here, the midpoint of a segment is a point that divides a segment into two congruent segments. It's going to cut it into two equal pieces. A line, a ray, or segment that intersects the segment at the midpoint is said to bisect. So you will need to know the definition of what is to bisect something. To bisect means to cut in half. So it bisects the segment, and it is called the segment bisector. This is the segment bisector right here. And this guy right here too. In this diagram on the left, B is the midpoint of AC. He is right in the middle of A and C. And then line L is the segment bisector of AC. So this line right here is cutting AC in half. Using that knowledge, we're going to move on to the problems. These are not examples, so you're going to have to follow my work. This is where it's very important to pay attention to the wording. If Q is the midpoint, so Q is the one in the middle of PR, so we already know that P are going to be at both ends of Q, find the value of X. Alright, fair enough. So that means that this piece plus this piece is going to be the full piece, which is PR. So I'm going to write it over here. Well, before I write it, here is the conundrum. I just told you that Q is the midpoint. If Q is the midpoint, that means that these two are actually equal to each other. That means that 7x minus 16 is exactly the same size as 4x plus 2. Becomes algebra. I like my variables on the left, so I'm going to move the 4x. This gives me 3x minus 16 equals 2. Then I'm going to move this guy over. Plus 16 plus 16, and we get 3x is equal to 18. Notice why I told you that algebra is going to be everywhere in geometry. So if you do not get it, you need to practice or you need to see me for tutoring. Last step, division. X is equal to 6. Let's look at the problem. Let's look at the question. All they're asking for is the value of X. So X equals 6. Let's look at look at 10. If R is the midpoint of QS, find QS. Well, keyword midpoint, which means these two right here are equal. So let's go to the problem over here on the right hand side. 2x plus 16 is equal to 5x minus 17. I'm going to want to move my variable. So minus 5x minus 5x, this gives me negative 3x plus 16 is equal to negative 17. Then I'm going to move the 16 across. Minus 16 minus 16. That leaves me with negative 3x is equal to negative, let's see, 333. Last step is division. Divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3. X is equal to 11. But that is not what it wants. It wants the distance of QS. So I'm going to write x equals 11. And because I'm not going to make my life any harder, I'm going to substitute into the easiest one. I'm going to substitute into the first one. 2x plus 16. 2 times 11 plus 16. That's 22 plus 16. That is 38. So this is 38, which means this is 38. So QS is actually equal to 76. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me or set up a private comment or send me if you want tutoring so we can work this out. Hopefully you got this.